Android Galaxy Greece. My name is Andreas and today we're doing a full review on the LG G3. So we'll start with the construction. I'll try to keep this review short and sweet. For those of you interested in specific features of the phone and more in-depth videos on those features, I'll have them linked in the description right below that like button. So let's get started with the construction of the phone, which is plastic. We all thought it was going to be metal due to this design on the back cover. It's not. We have a 1 watt speaker on the back. We have the buttons, the power button, volume up and down, which LG kept like on the G2 on the back. We have a 2-tone flash, a 13 megapixel optically stabilized plus camera that shoots 4K video, and the laser autofocus system, which actually works pretty good. On the bottom, actually, we have a micro USB cable and a headphone jack input and a microphone, and I do prefer the headphone jack input to be on the bottom. On the top we have an IR blaster and another microphone. On the front we have this beautiful 2K display with a resolution of 2560 by 1440. I think it's about 538 pixels per inch. Snapdragon 801. This is the 16 gigabyte model, which means 2 gigabytes of RAM. If you get the 32 gigabyte model, you get 3 gigabytes of RAM, which is preferable as far as I'm concerned, but we'll talk about that later. So this front is, the bezels are really cut down, as well as the chin. So it's basically all screen. Of course, there's a camera, a notification LED, and the earpiece at the top, at the very top. So let's talk about that display for a bit. The 2K display, I don't think we're there yet. Maybe good on LG for being the first company to go to the market with a 2K display. All of LG's icons are really optimized for this display, but everything else, Google Apps or whatever app you can get from the Play Store, it's not. So you're stuck with 1080p here and 2K here. 1080p, 2K. But none of the apps or games are yet 2K resolutions, so it's not really that big a deal, and the difference is not really that huge. I'm sure that 2K is the future, but I'm fine with 1080p for the time being, since all the apps and games are not yet 2K. I'm sure in the future we'll see a bump in them as well. So the screen is beautiful, it's very big, it's a 5.5 inch, but because the bezels are so cut down, you can actually handle the phone with one hand, and I don't have massive hands. I do like the buttons on the back. I thought I'd hate them, but I actually prefer them to normal buttons now, because I tend to grab the phone like this and my finger goes straight to the buttons, which are more tactile and better pronounced than the G2, so it's easy to know what you're pushing. Let's move on from the screen. There is a dedicated video on the screen of the LG G3 down in the description. And let's move to the UI, because the UI is something that's been completely overhauled by LG for the G3. Of course, you have a dense amount of options in your quick toggles. You have the brightness sliders, volume sliders, which you can take away from here if you don't want them, if you want more room on your notification drawer. And of course you have settings, which are not that many, and I was pleasantly surprised by that. The phone is running Android 4.4.2, and it will of course get Android L when the time for Android L comes, which is not yet still. So the settings of the phone are quite restrained, I'd say, compared to other phones out there, other skins out there, and you can have actually a list view here. You don't have to do the tab thing. It is quite a big list, but you know, you can choose whatever you want. It's more, this feels more a bit like stock Android. So the UI has been overhauled. You have smart tips for beginners. It is quite a bit better than the G2. The G2 actually will get this new skin from LG, and that will happen before the end of this year. I do prefer the UI. It's been a big concern of mine for LG phones, but I think LG has hit the nail on the head at this point, and actually taking away a lot of gimmicky features or software features that no one used and made a better UI right here. What I will say is that this phone is a 2 GB RAM phone. It's been factory reset before the review, except for one game, and it runs from 1.1 to 1.3 gigabytes of RAM constantly, which is not great. And I'm saying it's not great because I have an Nexus 5 as my daily driver, and that thing is packed with apps that take a lot of RAM all the time, new keyboards, Facebook stuff, WhatsApp, whatever, that work all the time. And I have never seen it go above 900 megabytes of RAM in consumption. So it really needs a lot of work still. And it's the apps that LG packs with this, McAfee security, which always works. I mean, there are still stuff that you don't need, and I would say if you're gonna get this phone, go with the 3 GB RAM variant if you can afford it. But you know, I prefer stock Android any day of the week. It's not that this phone lags at all. I have not found any lag so far, but just stock Android is smoother always. I mean, I compare the two phones side by side. Stock Android really is smoother once more. That applies to every skin of Android. That's not for you know, talking about LG. And now we'll go to the camera, I think, which has been completely overhauled, and that's a great thing to see from LG. There are actually not that many options in the camera. LG has put a lot of faith in its auto mode. The laser autofocus cannot be disabled. It works all the time and it works very well. So I don't know why someone would want to disable the laser autofocus feature. But as you can see, it's pretty limited. I mean, it's very limited. You can choose your resolutions and your aspect ratio, of course, because if you choose 13 megapixels for the still photos, you get a 4:3. And if you choose 10, you get a 16:9. The camera is great. I think it's one of the better cameras out there as far as Android flagships are concerned. And as a camera on a smartphone, it's really good. And the 4K video cannot be ignored, nor can the smooth image from the Optical Image Stabilization Plus, as LG calls it, can. And there will be a separate video for the camera linked in the description. Now, final thoughts. So the LG, I like it. I actually like the G3. I was prepared to like it a lot, and I don't really like it that much. I still like the phone. It's got a lot of features packed into it. It's got a great camera, although I don't pay that much attention to cameras on smartphones because I carry a pocket camera always with me, and no smartphone can touch that quality, that image quality. But if you need to, as far as the camera is concerned, it's a great phone. It's all around a great phone. If it were me, I'd go with a 3 GB variant, but I can safely say that this is the first smartphone by LG that I would buy with my own money, and that's saying a lot. Now, of course, we're not counting the Nexus line in the smartphones, because the Nexus is something totally different. I do like it. I don't think it's as big as people make it out to be. It's actually, I think, a bit shorter than an HTC One M8, and it's about the same size roughly as a Galaxy S5, but this has a much bigger screen, better internals in some cases, depending on the variant you choose, and the screen is 2K. And Samsung just came out with an Note 4 that has a 2K screen, so that must mean something. So as far as I'm concerned, this is probably one of the best, if not the best, Android flagship for this year. And I do highly recommend it to anyone who's looking for a phone, for a big phone, because it's still a big phone. So this was the review. I won't let it go any longer for the LG G3. As I've said, right below that like button, you can find separate videos for all kinds of features on the LG G3, and I'll see you in the next one.